Hi, and welcome to Elevao's Tech Talk for October 2021. My name's Nicole Price, and I'm your host for today. In the busy day and life of a contact center leader, it's easy to develop regular patterns. With that in mind, we wanted to take some time to share a few ways to make your daily tasks more efficient, as well as identify process improvement and customer experience opportunities easily. Joining me is Cam Hayden, one of Elevao's senior solutions architects, with additional experience as a software engineer and developer. Cam loves to solve problems that help drive stronger technology experiences for both our partners and customers, while learning and growing in an ever-changing software market. Cam applies technology to his personal life as an audio engineer, but also plays piano and writes and produces music. So who's your favorite composer to play, Cam? As you can see, I have a piano right back there.
Yes, I noticed that. I would say it's a toss-up between Frédéric Chopin and Franz Liszt. I think they're both brilliant at making soulful and timeless melodies. Franz Liszt was a bit more of a show-off out of the two, so I like playing his music when I really want to challenge myself.
Awesome. Well, with that, we're going to kick off our tips and tricks by talking about silence detection. You may be asking yourself why we'd focus on such a simple concept, but it's often in the silence that the most is going on. The longer the silence is, the more you need to understand what's happening. In my experience, extended silences are indicative of agents struggling with lengthy and inefficient processes or knowledge bases. But I've also seen times where agents are hugely off task. If you can understand what's driving these extended silence events on both an individual and a group level, you have a great opportunity to create process improvements, which of course can create both an improved customer experience and reduced costs for your contact center, not to mention improve your employee experience. So Cam, can you walk us through the best way to identify these events?
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, the process is super easy. If you navigate to your speech tags tab, you can create a tag that identifies whatever amount of silence you want to search for. However, you must use the following format for your phrase: +sign, pause, and then whatever amount of silence you want to look for. So if you want to look for silence events of 15 seconds and greater, you would use the phrase +pause 15, all as one word. For 20 seconds, it would be +pause 20, and so on. If you wanted to operationalize silence events, you could easily set up an automation to automatically set up these events for review in whatever time frame you want. You'd want to pair your reviews with a review of the screen capture at that time to see what was happening on the agent's end.
I'll give a quick word of warning here. Some organizations consider quality management scores as a percentage of the agent's overall performance rating. If your contact center does this, and you set up automation to automatically score or review these contacts, you'll want to make sure that you don't score them. This process could be considered cherry picking and negatively skew the agent's performance rating. In this situation, I'd use this process solely for process improvement efforts or agent coaching. Now let's move on to our next tip. In contact centers, I'm not sure a day goes by where there isn't a discrepancy of what the agent said versus what the customer says the agent said, especially when there's talkover. In cases like this, it would be hugely helpful to segment the different speakers. We have a tool for this, don't we, Cam?
Yes, we do. In Elevao's product, we have a dedicated function to mute individual speakers. For many of our competitors, to mute an individual channel, you have to actually export the audio file and manipulate it through a third-party tool like Audacity. Because our channel muting tool is embedded in the audio player, you also don't lose the file's encryption by exporting it. So this is especially useful in high compliance environments. For example, if a healthcare provider needs to verify a statement for coverage or whether an employee misrepresented policies and procedures.
I know that I personally have been frustrated trying to pick apart talkover events. Another concern with talkover, of course, is the potential emotion that's involved in the call, and of course, being able to potentially identify the specifics of a poor customer experience for coaching or remediation purposes.
Yes, that's another popular use case for a tool like this.
Awesome. Continuing to count down from 5, our third tip is about hang-up queries. In my last role, if an agent purposefully hung up on a customer, not only was it an autofail on the quality management form, but it was a terminable offense. Since HR was always investigating these events, we needed an easy way to determine whether an agent actually hung up on the customer. Not only are malicious disconnects an absolutely terrible customer experience, but they also drive increased cost if or when your customers call back.
Eleveo can solve for that with a couple of different features. First, as you can see in the screenshot here, by selecting the call-in question, you can see the hang-up party and the metadata for the call. In this screenshot, the calling party disconnected the line, but if the agent had disconnected, you'd see called in the hang-up party field. Suppose you want to see whether an agent has a behavioral pattern. You can use the filter to search for the called hang-up parties, either on an individual agent or group level.
Of course, another word of caution here is that you always need to listen to the end of the call to determine whether it was maliciously disconnected or whether it actually ended naturally and the customer just hung up first. However, this tip should help you to more quickly identify a problem with less manual intervention.
And as we discussed earlier, a great way to operationalize this tool is to schedule reviews based on this specific search criteria.
Speaking of reviews, depending on the organization, customer care leaders will conduct reviews on agent performance as frequently as weekly if there's a coaching program, but almost always at least once a year for annual performance reviews. In my last role, an agent's quality management scores comprised 30% of their performance rating and impacted pay raises and shift bids as a result.
There's a feature in Eleveo's QM suite that can help with performance reviews, and it's called feedback history. Basically, this tool allows you to see all the feedback that an agent has received on all their evaluations, including feedback that the agent has provided in self-reviews. It's an easy way to synthesize trends in your agent's performance. If you need a quick refresher before going into coaching or before any other performance review, I'd say this is the best place to look. I'd also add that if you choose to give the agent permissions to do so, they can have access to the feedback history tool, which empowers them to review and learn from all the feedback that every evaluator has provided for them.
Of course, employee engagement is such a hot topic in this day and age. It's very easy for an employee to go down the street to a higher paying job. So empowering them to grow and develop is incredibly important in retaining your existing talents. This next one is a 2-for-1 and brings us full circle to where we started our conversation today, discussing how we can use tags to identify costly silence events in your contact center. Now let's talk about how we can add tags for custom metadata to each interaction and why that matters.
Yeah, in the Eleveo system, we call custom metadata manual flags. If you want to track a theme within contacts or a bucket of behaviors, so to speak, you can add a new tag. As you can see from our example, we're tracking instances of where we've asked the agent to stop saying the word dude. Once you've added the manual tag, the contents of that tag become a searchable metadata field. So even if you don't remember the entirety of the tag you entered on the contact, you can search with as little as one word from the phrase. Here we've searched for the word dude, and Eleveo's Conversation Explorer tool has searched all contacts, including digital channel transcripts, for any conversations or tags that contain the word dude. Of course, you don't need to have created a custom tag in order to search like this either. In fact, you can use this Google-like search to search through any tags or digital channel content. I definitely encourage our customers to bring their chat, email, social, and SMS interactions into Eleveo. Not only does it streamline your quality process, but you can also use the search feature to quickly find relevant interactions.
And of course, this is great because without such a powerful integration, you're often spending hours trying to find these relevant conversations. All right, we've given you 6 tips so far, but we have one more bonus tip for you. Earlier in our session, we briefly talked about where to view the Hangout party. However, there's another cool feature here. Cam, can you tell us a little bit about what we're highlighting?
Absolutely. So each contact that comes in is tagged with a conversation ID. Any contacts that share the same conversation ID are strung together and can be played seamlessly so that you can observe the entire customer journey. While most of our competitors will display related contacts, you usually have to drill into them separately to observe the customer journey. So Elevao's suite saves you time in tying those related contacts together.
Of course, understanding the customer journey cannot be understated. It's so important to assess where the customer journey is causing a lot of effort to obtain a resolution. When you can solve for those high effort, high friction occurrences, customers are infinitely more likely to be loyal in the long term with higher satisfaction. So there you have it. 7 tips and tricks to improve your quality management program and improve the robustness of your insight. We've shown you screenshots today, but if there's anything you want to know more about or have an in-depth tutorial on, we'd be more than happy to do that. Simply email sales@eleveo.com. With that, we'll leave you and hope you'll join us next month for our next Tech Talk.
Eleveo. Elevate every encounter.